Today is a very special episode because we got McNeese head men's basketball coach, Coach Armstrong. What areas of growth do you see for your team, and how do you think the guys are looking right now?
When you have the success that we've had, 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments, I think we're one of 24 teams in the country that can say that going into this season. To continue to build that success and to continue that standard and holding that standard, that's probably the hardest part.
We didn't even talk about Larry Johnson, Southland Freshman of the Year, and broke Joe Dumar's freshman single-season record, which I don't know if I ever thought was going to get broke. But just talk about what the conversations were like with him this offseason.
I don't know if you did, KJ. I certainly did not. Somebody asked me a question of whether I thought he could break Joe Dumar's record, and I asked what it was, and I said, well, he can get second. What's second?
A lot of mid-major programs don't have the luxury to recruit like high major players, 6 or 7 high major players, but you're doing that. So how does that feel for you to be able to know that these players are trusting you with their development and their careers?
First in turnover margin, second in turnovers forced. So just talk about your defensive philosophy.
Our whole philosophy as a whole is that we're going to recruit great players. We're going to demand that they play defense, and we focus a lot on that and make them play defense. You have to play defense to be able to get on the floor for us.
I feel like looking at your resume, it seemed like it was a patient chase for you. And now you have conference title in the NCAA tournament, prime for another great year at McNeese. How does it feel to be a head coach, and just what's next for overall for McNeese as a program?
For my first year as a Division I head coach, I don't know that I could have scripted it out any better than the way it went.
Welcome back to another episode of Not Even D2. I'm your host, KJ Allison, here with my boy and co-host, Naruto Perdomo. As you guys heard, we got a great episode today where we talk with Bill Armstrong, head coach at McNeese College. They're coming off a really good year winning the Southland Conference. Made it to the tournament 28-6. He was replacing Will Wade, who won back-to-back Southland Conference championships, made it to the tournament 2 years in a row. So 3 years in a row they've been in the tournament. They're building something special, and McNeese can take another step this year. Year one is always an adjustment for head coaches. You're trying to really get the guys to buy into your system. He runs a little bit different than how Will Wade ran it. So getting them adjusted to that, adjusting to the new conference, all those type of things. He's used to high major. So I could see McNeese taking another step or two in this next year. I'm excited to see. They got Larry Johnson coming back, who was a freshman phenom this past year. So they got a lot going for them, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts about McNeese and Coach Armstrong's episode.
Definitely a great episode, bro. Shout out Coach Armstrong for getting on. I think when I think about this episode, there's a couple of things I think about. One is that this McNeese job was, a patient chase for him to get this head coaching opportunity, right? He had kind of talked about it at the end of the episode, he was in the running for some jobs and maybe got considered for some, but this was the real opportunity that came across his desk that he was excited about. And he took this job and, they're right back to the NCAA tournament. Coach Armstrong is a recruiter. He knows how to bring in talent. And I think that, along with his coaching and developing players, I think that's a really huge skill in today's landscape when we talk about, transfer portal. And that's ad nauseum how much we've talked about the transfer portal and recruiting. But it's an important part of college basketball, and Coach Armstrong has that on lock. So it was a great episode. Really excited to see where McNeese goes. I can't imagine that Coach Armstrong is going to be there for the rest of his career. Honestly, I feel like he's going to be there for some time and build that program up into a perennial powerhouse like it already is, and get the next opportunity and bring in some more talent at the next school. But definitely a great episode.
Yeah, I think your point just now and during the episode, a lot of mid-majors can't bring in the talent that he's bringing in, and it's because of his track record. He's been at Ole Miss, LSU, Baylor, and he's continuously evaluated great talent, but not just evaluating it. In his system, you're allowed to show your talent. And a point he made is some of these players, they might be a high major, but they don't play, and then their confidence is down. But then when you go to McNeese and you get basically the green light, your career can jump. And it's a mid-major, so going to the league is harder, but talk about a guy like Larry Johnson, who, if he has another year and builds off that, he could definitely go to the league. So they got a lot going for them at this point. I'm excited to see, like you said, where they go. But let's get into this conversation with Coach Armstrong. Don't forget to subscribe, go follow us at Not Even D2, and let's hear from Coach Armstrong.
All right, we are here, man. Another episode of Not Even D2. And today is a very special episode because we got McNeese head men's basketball coach, Coach Armstrong. How you feeling today, Coach?
Man, I'm feeling great. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a fun little episode. Excited to talk to you. Real quick, Coach, we're gonna talk a lot about basketball, but I want to talk outside of it. I heard that you have 5 kids, and I know college basketball is a grind. So just talk a little about family dynamics. You guys have any plans this summer? Any family vacations? I'm interested to hear about you as a
Yeah,
dad.
man. So the way we do the summer, we're fortunate enough to be able to do that here. We have 4 weeks on in June. Then we have a break for the 4th of July week. So I leave for the beach the weekend before that, and then I get to spend about 10 days down there at the beach and kind of regroup. Because nowadays you don't get any time after the season because the portal opens. I like how they backed it up to where you have a little bit of time to get ready for it, where it's just not on you like that. But it's still you're having to get ready. It's not like you can go to the beach and relax. So you got that, and then that 30 to 45 days is chaos, man. It's like 24 hours of mental warfare, and then you get your team together and it's over. So then you're trying to get them here and get these guys graduated in May. So it's a good time for us to go and take a break. Man, we've been going down to this place. My grandparents were high school teachers, and they bought into this little 800 square foot 2-bedroom condo in Orange Beach, Alabama in the early 80s with 4 other groups or 4 other couples. They eventually it's kind of bought them out. I guess the other couples just didn't want to be a part of it, and we've owned it for 40 years, man. I've been going down there to the beach on July 4th since I was 6 years old, and now my kids love going down there. My son was born on the 4th of July, so he'll be 18. He loves doing his birthday down there. So it's an exciting time. Really, the only place when I walk through that door in that little condo, I feel relaxed and can kind of, get my thoughts back together and just be there and be present with them and spend some good time with them.
I've never really been down to the South that much, Coach, and obviously you spent a lot of your career down there. And I'm wondering what does a perfect day look like in the South for you right now in Louisiana?
Yeah, right now it's not a perfect day, man. We got some storms moving in, and we're very fortunate. Last year, the storm season was very mild, but there's some storms moving in today, so we're hoping to, not catch the brunt of it. But the South, man, it gets hot here in June, for sure. So I'm glad we picked an indoor sport when it comes June. But the evenings are really nice. You get to sit outside and it's 75, 80 degrees, and it's a good day down here when the sun goes down this time of year. But man, I've lived my whole life in the South. We got great weather, great food, and it's a good time down here, man. You ought to come down.
Yeah, Ruda and I are coming down, and I was actually gonna say,
Come on.
I, I have some family from Louisiana, so I go there here and there. What are
Okay.
some of your favorite food spots? I'm gonna come down this next fall.
For sure. What part of
If
Louisiana?
you, I haven't been there since I was maybe like 12, so I don't know exactly, but I'm coming. I'm planning to come down this fall.
Man, we got great food here in Lake Charles. In Baton Rouge, I've lived in Baton Rouge and Lake Charles. In Baton Rouge, when I first moved there, I got 5 kids, so they're all back, and my wife's getting them through school and getting them ready to move to the next spot. So we're apart for a couple months, and I'm staying in a hotel and eating out every day. I gained 18 pounds when I got to Baton Rouge, just eating fried seafood and everything all the time. My go-to spot there would be Phil's Oyster Bar, man. My man Anthony Piazza, the owner, does a great job, man. I was eating there about 3-4 days a week. By the time I left, a really good friend. And then here in Lake Charles, I tried to learn my lesson and not do that again. So at least I was working out a lot more, knowing what and doing better on portion size. I don't know. I wasn't staying away from the fried food, but I was understanding that I couldn't just eat until I was full or I was going to gain another 20 pounds. So I've been better at that. But man, we got a lot of great restaurants here. You got Mazen's is a seafood steak place, really, really, really good. Actually, a guy from New York started it and owns it and still runs it here. Pat's of Henderson is a great spot for seafood. Then you got your local spots like Daryl's Po' Boys. They serve, I think, 5 po' boys. That's what they've served the entire time. I was actually there for lunch yesterday, and you can't move in there from 11 to 1 o'clock. That's how packed it is, and it's just 5 different sandwiches. And then you have Seafood Palace. You want some good fried seafood, some crawfish, some crabs, go to Seafood Palace, man. But there's a lot of good restaurants. I'm sure I left a few out, but those are 4 of my favorites.
Coach, I'm telling you that you got to tap into some soul food out there. You're big
Oh,
on
man, I
this.
love soul food. I
Yeah,
love it.
you gotta. You only talking about seafood. I'm a vegetarian too, so it's not even helpful for me. But
I
uh,
got you, I got you. Well,
I'm
there's
a
some good
bad.
soul food places here for sure, and then, my wife cooks a lot of vegetables and stuff, so I love, when she does that. We actually had a good roast and, potatoes and carrots last night, man. Making me hungry, KJ.
No, definitely sounds like a lot of great food down there, Coach. And I felt you with like, the eating good part because I'm in New York City and I haven't been back to New York City in a little bit. So this last week I've definitely been trying out all my favorite spots, Coach.
Oh,
You
I'm
you
looking
talk,
forward to getting up there this week, man, and we'll be up there. My 2 oldest daughters and I are coming up to the draft, so we're excited about, some good New York City food.
Hey, enjoy it, Coach, for sure. I could text you some good spots too
Please
after
do.
the recording. Yeah, I got you. You talked about early when we started recording, just about getting into the gym and early practice hours. And I'm wondering, after a great season that you guys have, where you win the conference and go to the NCAA tournament, what does the summer look like for you and your program? What areas of growth do you see for your team, and how do you think the guys are looking right now?
Yeah, when you have the success that we've had, 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments, I think we're one of 24 teams in the country that can say that, going into this season. To continue to build that success and to continue that standard and holding that standard, that's probably the hardest part. I was actually listening to a speech, a couple days back, with Nick Saban talking about that. And once you get to the top, when everybody's trying to knock you off, that's when it really, really becomes hard to sustain. And so you gotta try to everything you do get better at, and that started with recruiting, and we tried to bring in, the best players that we could bring in. We tried to recognize some things that we were deficient in last year, which was defensive rebounding was the one that popped off at everybody. So we tried to get a little bit bigger, which we did. We got a lot bigger. So hopefully through recruiting, we're able to solve some of that because with us, the way we play, a lot of our defensive rebounding issues can come with the scheme, with switching and sometimes some mismatches on the board. I don't let them hear those excuses, but that is true. And so we had to go out and try to get a little more length, a little more size, and we were able to do that. And the guys have come in. We've completed 2.5 weeks of workouts so far, and we're excited about where we're at.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that I heard recently, and it actually came from Coach Richman, shout out him at North Dakota State. He
Okay,
said, successes can happen, but the hard part is maintaining that success.
that's right.
So when you talk about McNeese, 3 straight tournament appearances, winning the Southland, and we are actually talking with someone at SFA, and they were kind of saying, like, yo, McNeese runs the conference. That's who we got circled every time. We're trying to go in there and upset them. So what you're saying is 100%. And also, you talk about some of the guys you brought in. I don't know, like, if there's a transfer recruiting class list of who did the best, but McNeese probably got to be up there. And some of the guys you brought in with Chopper Moore from Utah, Delquan, high major guy from Mississippi State. What's the kid's name? Christian T2. I was watching some.
Christian Nitu with an N, Nitu, Nitu.
Need to, yep. He's
Yep.
like 6'11". If you guys haven't seen his film, people listening, like, yo, he's a special player. So just talk about some of the guys you brought in, and well, I'll ask you about Larry Johnson after, but I want to hear about some of the transfers you bringing in.
Sure. Man, first off, my staff did an incredible job of putting this team together, figuring out who we would have an opportunity to get, who made sense within our system. We have a certain system that we play, so we have to recruit to that. We need long and athletic. We're going to play fast. So athleticism is a priority. Playing hard is a priority for us, the way that we play. And so we were able to, pinpoint those guys. And then, like I said, my staff did a great job of going out and getting them here on campus, and we were able to get them to commit to us and come. So, you mentioned three of them. Chopper Moore, man, unbelievable offensive player. He gets a lot of the credit for shooting, and he's an incredible shooter, but he's much more than that. He really knows how to play the game offensively and defensively. He's picking up team defense and things of that nature. He's going to be a great player for us. You got Delquan Warren, who to me is a legit SEC guard. He was just sitting behind Josh Hubbard. It was hard for them at Mississippi State to play those two guys together because of their size, but we're excited to have Delquan as our point guard. Then you have Corey Chest, who actually played for me at Link Academy and won the national championship with the Wizard Elliot Cadeau from New Jersey as our point guard. Had a big year this year at Michigan. Was proud of him for that. But Corey was the starting four-man on that team. Then went to LSU and Ole Miss and is transferring to us. We signed 6 high major transfers. The other 3 are Christian Nitu, who you mentioned at 6'11", left-handed, man. If you want a little, thinking player comps, man, he's kind of like got a little Tony Kukoc in his game. He's kind of a point forward, can do it all. Big, strong, and athletic. Was at Florida State and then transferred to Washington and came here. Alir Maluk, 2 years at Florida State, 6'10", can stretch the floor at the 4, can play undersized 5. I mean, he can do everything. He can go in the post, he can defend the post, he can defend the perimeter. He's going to be a stud for us. And then probably the one that didn't get as much hype just because he didn't get to play at all at Vanderbilt, kind of like the Larry Johnson situation when he came here from Creighton and hadn't played. So he's kind of, you don't know exactly what he's going to be able to do, but man, he's had a great 2.5 weeks. I knew that he fit our system, and talking about Jalen Dean Vines from Vanderbilt out of Dallas, Texas. I knew that he fit our system from an athleticism standpoint. I wasn't exactly sure what all he could do skill-wise, but man, he can really shoot the ball, can get to his spots and score. He's going to be a really good player for us as well. And then we signed 2 really, really good freshmen, not probably, in my opinion, high major freshmen. Just now with the way the transfer portal is, if you are a little picky, you recruit to your style, you can get you a couple good freshmen at this level that can help you. To me, it's about being physically ready, and the 2 guys we got are physically ready. They don't get knocked off the ball because of their size and their strength. One, Tyrese Hunter from New Jersey, Roselle Catholic, 6'3" point guard with a 6'6" wingspan, and he's got a super bright future. And then MJ Madison, who played at Lou High and then transferred to Prolific Prep, and then came here from Atlanta, 6'7", 6'8", 4'3". Man, he's got a chance to be really, really good as he continues to work and get better. And then, we had some really good returnees as well.
Yeah, I mean, for the people in the Southland listening to that, LOL, like that's a lot of guys. And obviously, like when you're recruiting in the portal, anybody can put together a good roster. Like there's a lot of good names. Oh, this guy transferred from high major, he's in my program. But for you, you're recruiting to your style. So it's not just, oh, we have some guys. It's like, yo, these guys are really good, but they also fit what I'm trying to do. So I could see the Southland really being, or not the Southland, McNeese really being not just a Southland favorite, but, getting into the tournament, making some noise. So I'm rooting for you guys big time.
I appreciate
And
that, KJ. That's certainly
yeah,
the plan, man.
yeah. And on top of that, like, we didn't even talk about Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson, Southland Freshman of the Year, and broke Joe Dumar's freshman single season record, which I don't know if I ever thought was going to get broke. So he's a big time player. And watching his film, like, I'm not sure if people were able to see how much better he got because, his first game, he walked on the scene with 30 points. So
Right.
it's hard to see a player get better from that ceiling. But just talk about what the conversations were like with him this all season. I'm sure he could have went high major. And then also the development that you want to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, Larry was born to score the basketball, and as you said, if you followed us, he could always do that. He just got better and better at every aspect of the game. And ultimately, everybody was on me about. I think he played 18 minutes in that first game where he scored 30. For the first 6 or 7 games a year, he didn't start, and I believe 6 or 7 in, he was scoring more points than minutes played. That's how gifted a scorer he is. And then as his game matured and he really figured out what we were doing defensively, he jumped. I think he started the last 25 games or so, and probably would have been player of the year had we won the regular season. Keon Thompson had a great year, and give him credit for that, but he certainly deserved it. But Larry was right there in the voting, and I would assume would be preseason player of the year returning. To have him return meant everything to us. One, it just solidified what we're doing here, with having Javon Garcia return last year and get 3 consecutive tournament appearances, back-to-back tournament MVPs, and then Larry doing the same thing, returning to us. It just shows you what we're doing here and how we're able to develop these guys, but also what Lake Charles and McNeese means to them, which then helps us in recruiting to be able to use that. And Larry's situation is a little bit different than some of the other guys that left. Garway and Ty had great years for us and contemplated coming back, but in the end, they only had at the time they left, they thought one more year to go play at the highest level and kind of accomplish their goals and dreams in that sense. Larry, it was just a freshman, so he knows that man, he could come back and really develop in the role that he was in, which is superstar role, and to be able to do that for one more year and then see what happens after that. So man, I'm so excited to have him back. He's such a great kid, and man, I told him he was out of town last week. He's got he missed some things for some personal reasons with his family, had to go back home, and the energy and he hasn't been practicing this month because we're just kind of resting him. He had a little nagging injuries here and there, and he worked so hard. I just like, man, let's get off your feet for June, and then we'll be back with the whole team in July. So we just kind of like resting him this month to get his body back right, 100%. I mean, if we were playing, he would have been playing, but we're not, and I'd rather him be on the floor in March than in June. So we did that, and I think that's going to be really good for him. But the energy level was completely different with him not in the gym, and he's just a leader his presence is a leader for us, and so excited to have him back. What he did last year, you spoke on it, breaking Joe Dumar's record. I don't know if you did, KJ. I certainly did not. I actually made a comment in the media. I think, like I said, he was on such a scoring pace those first 6 or 7 games. That was all anybody wanted to talk about. And somebody asked me a question of whether I thought he could break Joe Dumar's record, and I asked what it was, and I said, well, he can get second. What's second? And they told me, but man, for him to go do that, what an accomplishment. And not only do that, it's one thing to go score 600 points or 589 or whatever he did as a freshman on a team that's not any good or just average, but we went 28-6 and won the conference championship and went to the NCAA tournament. To do that all as a freshman on a team like that, to me, that makes it even more significant. And what an incredible year he had, and just super, super excited to coach him one more year.
I was gonna say, Coach, I don't like listen to your interviews and listen to you talk. Like, I don't take you as a person that, is I take you as a person that's very humble and like, stays locked in and working on and focused on the process. But a lot of mid-major programs don't have the luxury to recruit like high major players, 6 or 7 high major players, but you're doing that. So how does that feel for you to be able to like know that these players are trusting you with their development and their careers?
Oh man, it means the world to me, and it just to me is the motivation for me to make sure that they get what they want out of it. That's the most important thing is what we tell them in recruiting. Now it's on me to make happen, and so that gives me added motivation to make sure that these kids are able to reach their dreams and goals, and they all come here with different ones, and the majority of them haven't played in the NCAA tournament and want to be able to do that. And last year, Garway Hardaway and Ty and Jacob Cole and all those guys played in their first ever NCAA tournament. So as a coach, it means the world to be able to help them accomplish those dreams. But to be able to get those kids and come in, it just speaks to the experience that we've had as a staff and what we've been able to do to develop kids to get them to their goals and reach their goals and reach their dreams. And it means everything to me that they trust me, and now I got to reciprocate that with trusting them and helping them to get. Some of them need to get their confidence back, things of that nature, and to get them back playing the way that they're certainly capable of playing. And so that's every morning that I wake up, that's what I think about, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Nah, that's special. And it kind of relates to just relationships are the biggest thing in basketball, especially when you talk about, like you said, a kid that you coach at Link Academy is coming. I forgot his name, excuse me, but he's
Course, yes,
coming.
that's okay.
Yep, he's coming back to you, and then Larry Johnson's coming back to you. He could have went higher, but they're trusting you, and you're keeping in mind that these relationships matter. Also, you talked about you're going to the draft, players that you probably haven't coached in 2, 3 years that you're still super connected with and going to support them. So that's arguably the biggest thing that sometimes I think is lost in some of these coaches' minds.
In
But
my mind, KJ, there's nothing more important than
mm,
relationships.
mm,
You these kids are what it's all about. That's what we do it for. And to be able to get them to trust you to do what you want them to do on the basketball court, you got to have a relationship with them off the court. And that starts in recruiting. We recruit all these kids as a staff. I talk to each one of them every single day until they decide to come, and then I talk to them twice a day after that till they get here. And that builds the relationship from jump. And then once they get here, we spend a lot of time with them, and on and off the floor. It's not just about being on the floor and being the best basketball player you can be. We're trying to help them be the best man that they can be spiritually, mentally, and then physically. So that's what it's all about to me. X's and O's is a small part of it. I don't even know that I'm any good at that, but to me, it's about relationships and getting these guys to try to be the best versions of themselves each and every day. And that's what we've set out to do daily. And these guys have really bought in, and I'm appreciative of that.
I love it. And coach, don't do that to yourself that you don't know if you're good at X's and O's, because that's what I want to talk about right now. And this is probably my favorite thing about your style and you as a coach is a lot of coaches right now are like, how can we be the best offensive team? How can we space the floor? How can we play fast and shoot a bunch of threes? But I'm not saying you don't care about the offensive side, but what stands out about your teams is your defense and how you guys force teams to kind of play uncomfortable. And I have some stats I want to talk about your defense. So some stats is you guys were first in turnover margin. That's impressive. I was looking at the Southland conference. I'm like, wow, that's a big gap. I wonder where they rank in the country. Then I'm like, oh, it's first in the country. So first in turnover margin, second in turnovers forced behind High Point. Shout out to our guy, Flint Clayman. And then 10.5 steals per game. So you guys really are getting after a full court, a lot of pressure, and you're making teams kind of like second guess themselves, like, oh, I don't even know if I can make this pass right now, or I don't know the point guard dribbling up the court if I can cross over right now. So just talk about your defensive philosophy, how you kind of teach that too. That's what I'm most intrigued to hear about.
Sure. Our defensive philosophy, our whole philosophy as a whole is that we're going to recruit great players. We're going to demand that they play defense, and we focus a lot on that and make them play defense. You have to play defense to be able to get on the floor for us. And then offensively, it's about recruiting, man. Let those guys go be who they are. Let them have the freedom and give them the confidence to do what they're certainly capable of doing. And that's kind of how we operate. Defense is a huge focus for us. I appreciate you reading those stats out. That's a good recruiting tool. I think, no offense to Flint, but we were actually in KenPom #1 in turnover percentage, and #1 in steal percentage as well, with third in block. So all that to say that, we're just trying to, like you hit the nail on the head, KJ. We're trying to create uncomfortable situations on each and every possession, whether that be full court with our press, and we press a lot of different ways. It's a very similar as far as the way we set it up. At times I think people think we have 5 or 6 different presses. We really just have one. It's really more of a full court matchup zone press, and we're just going to match up with the way that you try to attack it. And then if you are able to attack it and do a good job against it, I think that's where we're a little bit different than most teams that press. A lot of teams that press when they're beating it will just get out of the press. We're never going to get out of the press. We're just going to make the adjustments, whether that be to kind of back off. We use the press two different ways: to speed you up or to slow you down. It depends on how you want to break it. We caused 47 shot clock violations because of them trying to be, very conservative and not turn the ball over against the press. Well, now you got 15 to 18 seconds to go against our switching man-to-man. You can't run plays against the way we play defensively in the half court either. So it really becomes a lot of one-on-one and spacing. If you don't have good spacing or guys that can go beat their man off the dribble, then you're probably going to struggle against us, which allows us, crazily, we get the majority of our turnovers in the half court because either, like I said, through shot clock violations or trying to penetrate our gap defense with not much time left to go. So our whole motto, both offensively and defensively, is we're going to attack the paint and then protect the paint. Analytically, I'm not a big analytic shoot a ton of threes, guys. I'm not that. That's fine if you are. I mean, obviously, there's had a lot of guys that have had a lot of success with that, and those are the guys that get most of the hype and most of the interviews. But to me, it's about paint touches. The ball touches the paint, the team's going to score 0.5 points per possession more than if it doesn't. And so to me, it's a simple game. Let's keep the ball out of the paint. Let's get the ball to the paint. And if we are able to do that more than our opponent, then we got a great chance of winning.
100%. I mean, I think about, we talk about paint drives and how effective they can be. A player like Shea, obviously KJ is a Thunder fan, but Shea is always getting in the paint, and that's causing the defense to overreact or foul him, or, he can get to that mid-range. So definitely love what you're saying there. And then when I hear you talk about your defensive philosophy, it makes sense why you want to be intentional with who you're recruiting, right? Because
Right.
you want to get players that can excel in that program, can excel in your program, obviously, but can excel in your philosophy. So and obviously too, like, you're bringing in also some high scoring guards as well. So you're bringing in guards that can score the ball, but also guard at a high level. I imagine that you have a lot of players also probably trying to come to your program. So how do you kind of sift out through really what you want to bring into the McNeese basketball program?
Yeah, man, it's a fun way to coach for me. I enjoy coaching that way. It's just aggressive. We're aggressive for 40 minutes on both ends of the floor, and that's just the way that I was brought up. Starting with playing for my dad in high school, that's how we played, and then moving on with Andy Kennedy and Will Wade and Scott Drew and Dwayne Rebo. All those guys were just about being aggressive and playing hard, and so we look for that first and foremost in recruiting. There's a lot of athletic guys, long guys that fit the profile of how we want to recruit and how we want to recruit to our system. But then you go from there and you say, okay, does this guy play extremely hard? Does this guy work hard? What is he, what's his character like? That's kind of where we sift them out. And I think we've been able to do a really good job in that. And, playing hard is a,
It's a
a
skill.
great trait to have. It's a skill. It's a skill. That's the word I was looking for, Rudy. And it is certainly a skill, just as much as being able to shoot the ball, pass the ball, and everything else. So we recruit that skill probably more than anything else, along with athleticism. And like I said, and then we're going to give guys freedom to do what they're capable of doing and continue to work with them on those things to help them develop into even better offensive players. That's kind of our focus.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna move on into we're gonna talk about some coaches that you've been around. And real quick, you touched how you were a hooper. I just wanted the audience to know that you was nice. You played at UAB.
I
I
was
don't
on
know,
the team, KJ. I was on the team at UAB. I don't know how much I played, but I was on the team.
but you averaged 20 in high school. That's not something that everybody could do. So you deserve credit for
Well, I
that. But
appreciate you pointing that out, KJ. I don't know if that's been pointed out enough here since I've been the coach at McNeese.
yeah, for sure. But one coach I wanted to hear your relationship about is Andy Kennedy. He's a really good basketball coach. I coach at UAB right now, but also two-time SEC Coach of the Year. And I'm pretty sure he gave you your first high major opportunity. You coached with him at
We did.
Ole Miss. So I just want to hear like a little about your relationship today, but also kind of how he impacted and developed your career.
Well, our relationship goes back so much further than that and so much deeper than even the Ole Miss days. So Andy Kennedy, as a player, played at UAB. I believe he's still the second all-time leading scorer there. But my father was on staff at UAB at the time, and even before that, I had been a ball boy at UAB. I loved going to the UAB games, man. I tried to go to every single home game, even if I wasn't a ball boy at that game, which I was at most of them as I got older. But just being around that program, I was around AK for 3 years as a player. He liked to get there really early before the games, and so I would be able to do that too because of my father being a coach. So I would be out there rebounding for him, and it was like rebounding for Larry Bird to me. The way that he was able to score the ball and shoot the ball. So just being able to get to know him then, and he said that if I ever wanted to get into coaching, then and he was a coach when he was a head coach, that he would hire me, and he got the Ole Miss job. I was an assistant at Birmingham Southern at the time, but he gave me the opportunity to come to Ole Miss as the director of operations. I think I was 27 years old, 28 years old at the time when he did that, and then I was with him there for 11 years, and man, I learned so much from him as far as how to run a program. A lot of our same philosophies, especially offensively. His philosophy offensively was always to, and a lot of people they do that with me now as well too, but they question sometimes our shot selection. But we believe that getting a shot up is always better than turning the ball over. So a questionable shot's better than a turnover any day. There's a lot of good things that can happen with a questionable shot. It might go in, you can still get it off the glass and give yourself another opportunity. But you turn the ball over, and not only is it the offensive possession over, but it usually leads to a better possession for the other team. So I got that philosophy from him offensively, and then also the recruiting really good players and giving them the freedom to go play. That was his philosophy. And then when I moved on to Will Wade, that was his. So that's kind of what I know from an offensive standpoint. But the 11 years, not to mention the fact that I've known him since I was 10 years old. Andy Kennedy's like he's a mentor, big brother to me, and I learned a lot that I do and that I know basketball wise from him.
It's
We actually
relation.
played
Oh,
him, to open the season this year.
oh, you play UAB?
Yep, it just got announced in the Field of 68 in Rock Hill. We opened the season with him, so it'll be fun.
I'm tuned, KJ. We gotta watch that, bro. We gotta watch it.
Definitely,
Yeah, we're
man.
definitely like, yo, what's the word? You trying to go?
We gotta figure
Come
it out.
on, man. Rock Hill, South Carolina. We'll roll out the red carpet for you.
All right, say no more. KJ and I will talk about it for sure, Coach. And I was just saying, like that's kind of what you spoke to. Like we're recruiting, but it's the same thing with coaching, like the relationships. Like you built a great relationship with AK, and so many years later, like he was like he gets a high major opportunity. He's like, yo, I know a guy for this position. Like I'm gonna bring him on, and we're saying here how many years later talking about how great of a coach you are and how great of a program you're running. And
Well,
I'm wondering, you talked about other top coaches that you've been around in college basketball, Will Wade, Scott Drew, AK, but obviously like philosophy aside, what's a top trait that you notice from like all of those coaches?
just relentless work ethic, working every single day towards the goal of making their players better individually and as a team, and then just playing hard. Each and every one of those guys demands that their players play hard and play together. And I think those are the main things that I took away from that. And if you can do those two things, if you'll play hard and play for each other and together, you're going to be able to win most nights. And again, that seems simple, but you guys know that it's not as simple as it sounds. And to get those guys to do that. And everybody that I've worked for, starting with, my father, I didn't work for him, but played for him, Murray Bartow, my college coach, Dwayne Rebold at Birmingham Southern, and then Andy Kennedy, Will Wade, and Scott Drew. All those guys were able to do that, all in different ways. There's so many different ways to do it. And I think that's what prepared me most for this job was being able to see that I could do it my own way. You know, if I was going to give any advice to future coaches and guys who wanted to coach, that would be it. Just be who you are, because if you are who you are, then the guys are going to relate to that and play hard for you. If you're trying to be somebody else, they'll see right through it, and you know, you won't have the trust that's needed to be able to get the team to play together and play for each other.
Yeah, I love it, coach. You got a bright future ahead of you for sure. And we
Thank you.
haven't talked about like your LSU days that much, but I had one specific question, and your 2018-2019 roster was super good. You guys, I think Sweet 16 was it? Yeah, you
That's
guys
right.
made it too?
Sweet 16.
Just to name a few guys, Nas Reed, Javante Smart, and Tremont Waters, one of my favorite point guards I've ever watched.
Bucket.
Bucket
Tremont
He's
Waters
an
is a
incredible
bucket.
player.
but
He's
I
from
just
the
want to hear
Northeast up there in New Haven, Connecticut.
okay, word. I just wanted to hear like real quick what some memories from that time or some of the like special moments that you cherish from coaching those guys.
Yeah, that was a special, special team. You know, those three guys were great players. Skylar Mays was a second-round draft pick and played in the NBA as our starting two guard on that team. Darius Days came off the bench, and he played in NBA games. Was a great college player for us. And then a guy that might have been the highest-rated recruit coming in. I think him or Nas won, but another five-star that we had coming off the bench and had a great college career for us, and has had a great professional career. Not in the NBA, but internationally. And Emmett Williams, if you guys remember him from Florida. So man, that team was loaded. We had those Javante, Darius, and Emmett were the guys coming off the bench. We had Marlon Taylor and Cavell Bigby Williams, who both played in the G League and were incredible at their craft and what they did. That team, again, and I believe that's what in every year from recruiting, that's what you're trying to do is put a puzzle together. It's not always about just getting the best players, and we had great players on that team. I just named 5 NBA guys, but also that team fit very well together. I thought Coach Wade, starting with Coach Wade and the staff, was able to put together a team that really didn't have any weaknesses. And you know, unfortunately, we ran into a buzzsaw in Coach Izzo in the Sweet 16, and they were able to end up going to the Final Four that year. Man, they were on a heck of a run, but man, that team was special. Once we kind of got going, we got off to a slow start. To me, that's the crazy. You remember those things more than anything else. Is I think we started out 7-3, and just putting our heads together as a staff with coach and trying to figure out the best way to play with that team. And once we did, we took off. And in SEC play, we won the regular season. It went 16-2 and won that regular season outright. Our 2 losses were in overtime that year. Now, to be fair, we won about 5 in overtime too. The SEC was really good and very competitive, but you know, we almost went undefeated there, and then we're able to get into the NCAA tournament and play really well, beat a good Yale team, and then probably the biggest memory from a basketball standpoint that I take away was Tremont's little scoop shot to beat Maryland to go to the Sweet 16. That was a lot of fun. My only time to ever coach in the Sweet 16, so working hard every single day to get back there.
Definitely a great story, and definitely rooting for you to get back there, coach. And you mentioned Emmett Williams. That guy was dunking everything in high
Yes,
school
he
and
was.
college, man. Athletic as
Broke
hell.
LeBron's record in the Jordan Brand game. I assume that still stands, but he scored like 45, and I think he had like 7, 8 dunks in that game, maybe more.
No, definitely a special team, coach. And so this is gonna be our last question before we get going to rapid fire. But
Okay.
you know, when I was looking at your resume, right, when you got to this McNeese opportunity, was it more so like waiting for the right opportunity to open up, or is it just not being given given one and the college setting that is?
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of both. You know, I tried to be patient. You know, I learned from Will. You know, we talked a lot about it all the time about it. You know, when I was able to have an opportunity to get my first head coaching job, was his advice was don't take a job where you walk into the gym and there's no banners hanging. Don't think you can be the first one to do that. And I thought that was very sound advice. So, but I still wanted to be a Division I head coach and was going to try to take the opportunities that made sense to me. Finished second on a couple jobs while I was at Ole Miss, and then was able to get the opportunity at Link Academy, which I think now it's always about experience, right? And understandably so. You see what just happened in the NBA Finals. That was all about experience and being older and understanding what it takes more so than just talent. And so I think through those experiences that I mentioned, all the guys that I was able to work for once I got the Link job, now I had head coaching experience on my resume, which then allowed ADs to give me, maybe a harder look. And man, I can't be more grateful to Heath Shore for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you talked about, what Coach Wade teaching you or helping you like understand patience. And I had a note in the doc, like I feel like looking at your resume, like it seemed like it was a patient chase for you. Like you were just kind of like obviously you were a head coach at Link Academy, but you know, actually getting that first opportunity, you had to, wait a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now you have conference title in the NCAA tournament, prime for another great year at McNeese. After you reflect just, year one of being a head coach, how does it feel? How does it feel to be a head coach and just what's next for overall for McNeese as a program?
Yeah, Ruda, man, I've said this before, but for my first year as a Division I head coach, I don't know that I could have scripted it out any better than the way it went. And not just the success that we had, but the guys that I was able to do it with on my staff, and then the team, the players that we had. It really was a joy every day to get up and coach those guys. And that's not always the case, even with successful teams. I've been on some successful teams that weren't always fun to be around, and even in the gym. So these guys, we spent a lot of time together. We created some lifelong relationships through players and staff, and man, I couldn't have asked for a better first year. And hopefully now we're able to build off that. And in recruiting now, last year we were selling these guys a vision because I hadn't done it, the staff hadn't done it. And now we have, and so it allowed us to recruit an even better group of talented guys, hopefully, and so that we can continue to move up that mountain to try to win games in the NCAA tournament.
100%. It's that proof of concept that you guys got right now already, right? You got
That's
that.
right.
You got the conference tournament, and now you got the NCAA tournament under your belt. Future is definitely bright. But you ready for rapid fire, Coach?
I'm ready to roll, man.
All right, let's do it. So I've been waiting to ask this question. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
You're a great recruiter. Obviously, we talked about it during this episode. You've been to a number of different states. I need you to rank three different states as from like best and to like least best in terms of like, you know, basketball talent.
Three from great to not quite as great. How about
Yeah.
that? They, we gonna stay positive, Ruta. Those, probably the three best. Man, I might get myself in trouble here, but I would base this as much off of success that m- teams I've been a part of have had with guys. But man, your state right there in New Jersey has been really good to me in my career, starting with Brian Tyree. Who we recruited to Ole Miss, ended up leading the SEC in scoring. I wasn't a part of the team, but he took a team to the NCAA tournament. Just a tough physical guard. He's having a great career overseas. I still keep in touch with Brian and his family. Then Nas Reed, man. Nas Reed, six man of the year 2 years ago, had an incredible year as a freshman for us, leading us to an SEC championship. And I may be leaving some out, but from there, at Link Academy, I mentioned earlier, Elliot Cadeau wins us a national championship. As far as I can find, Ruta, he's the only player to ever win a Geico national championship and the NCAA Division I college basketball national championship. I don't know that that's ever been done outside of anybody but him. So certainly an impressive feat, even if it has been done by a couple more guys. And then, now we signed a kid named Tyrese Hunter, guard from Roselle Catholic out of New Jersey. Just I can't name one player that I've coached from New Jersey that didn't have a really good college career. Man, they come in knowing how to play. That's a Hooper State up there. Texas is a very good basketball state. Houston and Dallas are loaded with talent. We had 5 guys on our team last year from Houston. I've had a lot of success there, and then probably I'd have to say Florida. Florida has we had some great players from Florida, both at Ole Miss and LSU. We named a couple of them, Emmett Williams and Darius Days. At Ole Miss, we had Chris Warren, who scored over 2,000 points, a name a lot of people may not be familiar with because we were never quite able to get over the hump. But he played in 2 NIT Final Fours, and we could never really get the NCAA tournament. But Chris had an incredible career overseas. And then Stephon Moody, who led the SEC in scoring at Ole Miss and took us to an NCAA tournament. So I would say, as far as my career and what players have done out of those states to help teams that I've been a part of win games, those would probably be the 3.
Coach, so no love to New York. What's going on?
Man, I'm trying. Marlon Taylor was from New York. New Jersey, KJ's kind of been the spot where I've always found myself. But of all the players that we've named, I'm trying to think from just straight up New York. I don't know if I've ever coached a kid from New York City. I have a kid on my team right now, JJ Rimbert from New York City. But outside of that, I don't know that I've had one from straight New. Oh, and I'm sorry, then you're gonna get mad at me for like I said, Chopper Moore's going to be a special player. So we got a New York player now.
I'm saying I think New York definitely got to be like you just weren't even thinking of New York. So I'm feeling
No, okay, that's not true. I said for what the guys that I've coached, New York
true,
City.
true.
If you're asking me, to rank those as far as states that everybody else has, New York would certainly be right up there in that top 3. I just have not coached a lot of kids from New York, but I'm excited to coach Chopper and JJ this year.
Yes, sir.
They're both definitely gonna have great years, and yeah, I mean, you still name some great states too. I mean, but I know a lot of California hoopers, or you know, what I mean,
For sure.
that might not be too happy with you, coach.
No
But
doubt about it, man. I saw a lot of good basketball in California, obviously with prolific prep being out
yeah,
there when I was at Link. And then, we signed Tunde Yusufufo at Baylor. Tunde was probably the first high school player that I had recruited from California. But man, a lot of great coaches out there, really good basketball.
definitely a great player to recruit. Out of Cali, you know, what I mean, he's definitely a bucket.
No
We
doubt.
Next rapid fire question I got for you. So usually we ask like players like, who is your favorite like coach? Who is your favorite like player that you went up against, that always had battles? Is there a coach for you that you have just the ultimate respect for, but you love just like competing against them and coaching against them?
Uh, you know, uh, from my first year as a head coach, I don't know that we've had some battles with Matt Brower at Stephen F. Austin. I think he's a great coach. He's going to do a tremendous job as he continues to move up the ladder. Um, you know, as an assistant, I went against a lot of great coaches in the SEC. I was an SEC assistant for 16 consecutive years. Well, 5 of those were as ops, but I was in the SEC for 16 straight years, 11 at Ole Miss and 5 at LSU. So, I mean, starting out with Billy Donovan to Calipari, and so on and so on, man. So many great coaches in that league. And still are as that league continues to grow. But Bruce Pearl and Michael White and those guys, Mike White's still in the SEC coaching, and I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country, in my opinion, with what he's able to do with his teams and getting Georgia to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. But and then you go to the Big 12, and man, was that a loaded cast of coaches from Bill Self to Kelvin Sampson. I think Grant McCaslin may be one of the best coaches in the country, certainly one of the best younger coaches in the country. As he moves up, he'll at some point, once some of these other guys retire, I think he'll be on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. And then being able to work for Scott Drew, first ballot Hall of Famer there. The Big 12 is it's a beast.
Definitely a plethora of great coaches. Last rapid fire question I have for you. So Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I like rap. NBA YoungBoy is like really big down there. Do you
Yeah.
have like music that you listen to before games that gets you hyped up or locked in or anything, or no?
I'm not a huge music guy, never really have been. I think maybe it was because I didn't have a radio in my car the first 3 years I drove, but, so I had to find other things to do, but really, in all kidding aside, I just on the phone most of the time, so I listen to music when I run on the treadmill. It's a little bit older. I love, Jay-Z and Drake now. Growing up, I liked, would you say angry rappers? I loved Eminem and DMX and Tupac, and Snoop
Okay.
and all those guys growing up. Those are my guys.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You named some goats for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
So my segment to end it is called story time, where I'm gonna ask you three names and just you tell me like your favorite story. It could be long, could be quick. So we'll get into that. But real quick, I'm gonna bounce off Ruda. Last rapid fire. I don't want an explanation, just an answer. What's the best college basketball conference in the country?
Whew. I'm gonna have to say the Big 12.
Okay, Big 12. That's what I'll be jacking too. All right, so story time. First guy we're gonna go, Will Wade. You guys spent some, I think, 5 or 6 years at LSU. He promoted you to associate head coach. So give me your favorite Will Wade story.
Oh man, there's so many. I would say that the best part about my time with Will Wade was the way the setup is at LSU. Um, our offices aren't in our building, they're not in the practice facility. So we spent the majority of our time in a small coach's locker room, sitting in a couple of lounge chairs, going over what we were going to do each and every day to try to make that team better. Just all the time that I was able to spend with Will, we became extremely close, not just through basketball, but through life and all the things that we went through there together. Some of those are well documented that I won't get into, but just to go through that with somebody, and then what he did for me here, was he comes in here and wins two conference championships, goes to two NCAA tournaments, set the standard here, and then helped me to get in with Heath and have an opportunity to get this job. So, Will's like a brother to me as well, and I don't know that I can pinpoint just one story. Maybe we were out in Las Vegas. We just gotten beat by Houston. We went just kind of after practice. We went right from Houston to Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. Our memories can be sometimes we change the memory as we get older, but I believe that's what happened. We were going to play. We were playing St. Mary's, and like I said, we got off to us. We were 6-3. We were struggling a little bit, especially with the talent that we had. And I remember walking the strip with Coach. We came to the Cosmopolitan and met Anthony Piazza, the guy that owns Phil's Oyster Bar, who is a really close friend of ours, and gives us a lot of good perspective when we need it. When things aren't going well, we go to him for some perspective. And we sat right inside the Cosmopolitan lobby area and kind of talked out how we were going to try to play and things we were going to do moving forward. And from that point on, I believe we went 22-4, whatever it was, and won the SEC. So that was certainly a story that I'll never forget. We kind of text it all the time when things get bad in our group thread with the three of us. Remember the Cosmo. So I'll always remember that.
That's tough. That's tough. And like you said, a lot's been documented about Will Wade, but one thing that people can't or shouldn't take away is great basketball coach. Like you can talk about other things, but great basketball coach. So next guy we're gonna go to,
Will's
and
a
I know
great
you guys.
person too, KJ. That's what gets taken away. Let's take away from the basketball side, his recruiting, whatever you want to think about that. That's certainly up to you. But the fact that he's vilified as a bad person at times because of that, I think is wrong. He's a really, really good person. To me, it's about how you treat other people, and no one treats other people better than Will Wade.
Special, special. All right, next guy. I know you only spent 1 year around him, but I want you because Cam Thomas, I don't think he tries to be funny, but like in the media, he's a funny guy. So I don't know if you have like a funny Cam Thomas story.
I think he branded "ain't you know what
Ain't
funny." I
so
don't know if I
funny,
can say
yeah.
that word on it. Can I say that on camera here?
Yeah.
But yeah, he had that brand. My daughters love those. Will had a bunch of sweatshirts here. I don't get Will in trouble through Cam. Cam, if you want to send me some more, you can. But I don't. Will may not feel comfortable wearing it, but they got left behind here at the house, and so my daughters wear those shirts of Cam Thomas all the time. They love Cam.
That's funny, that's funny. Cam Thomas, definitely a basket too. I'm hoping he gets back to being
Me
able
too,
to.
man. Me too. He certainly deserves an opportunity. I don't know that there's many in the world that can put the ball in the basket better than he can.
Yes, sir. And then last guy, we're gonna go Jacoby Walter. I know you coached him at Link Academy. You guys won a national championship together. So last guy, Jacoby Walter.
Yeah, Jacoby's got a special place in my heart, man. N not because of the fact that he was MVP of the Geico National Championship and, I think was third most points in a game in the first round with 34 points, or that he was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year or now is playing for the Raptors. None of that. Yeah, he's just an incredible, incredible person. That's what I'll always remember Jacoby for, man. He led by example each and every day. His work ethic was relentless each and every day. He was on a mission to do what he's doing now and being a starter in the NBA. And I know I see him on Instagram and talk to him from time to time. And I know that's what he's working on now, is just continuing to get better. He's a special, special player, but most importantly, a special person. He's a really, really good guy and has a great perspective on life. And man, Jacoby means the world to me.
Yes, sir. So, and then last thing, if you had to see one person on Not Even D2, who would it be? But you have to help us get them on. It could be
Oh
player
man,
or coach.
I don't have a whole lot of pull there, KJ, to help you get the
I think you're
people on.
underestimating yourself.
Player or coach? Man, now that's a difficult one. Is this still rapid fire? Do I get a buzzer if I can't figure one out in time?
Nah, we could just go till an hour, I guess.
Hey, you know what? Who deserves an opportunity to get out and help promote his brand? Who I think is going to be a really, really good Division I coach, and finally got his opportunity. A guy that is another, I guess, mentor to me, who I have not mentioned. Gave me my first college assistant job in Ryan Cross he just got the job for UL Monroe. I think he's put together a good team, and I think he'll do really well in the Sun Belt. He is got a very fun personality. I think you guys would enjoy interviewing him. I would say Ryan Cross.
All right, Ryan Cross, you gotta help us get him on.
I can help you get him on for sure.
All right, let's do it. So that's
That
gonna
might
do
have
it for
been part of reason my answer. I wanted to look good to get him on.
But that's gonna do it for another episode of Not Even D2. We 100% appreciate you getting on, talking to us for a while. Big things in store for McNeese and Coach Armstrong, and hope you do your thing, keep growing, and that's gonna do it.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me, man. Y'all come see us in Rock Hill.
Yes, sir.
Know it.
All right, that's gonna do it for our conversation with Coach Armstrong. Really good coach. I think one of the most intriguing parts about this episode is just their defensive philosophy and their philosophy as a whole, just like giving players the freedom to play free. But a lot of teams that play fast and press, if you start to beat it, they back out of it. But he's like, yo, we're just gonna adjust to how you're playing, and we're gonna stay in it. And that's really difficult for teams because you could have success and feel like, oh, we're gonna continue doing that, but it's not gonna be you're not going to be able to play the same way against McNeese for all 40 minutes. So it's a tough task for these teams in the Southland, but also these coaches that he's going against. So they lost to Vanderbilt in the tournament last year. It was a really good game. They were leading for a lot of it. So be on the lookout for McNeese in this program.
100%. Like I said, already accomplished a lot, but still on the up and up with this program. And I always love those teams that press and play 94 and or you can hear them on the court talking on defense. Like those are sometimes the most connected teams, and they're always fun to watch. Hard to play against, but fun to watch.
For sure. All right, we're gonna get out of here. It's Tuesday time we're recording. It's gonna come out on Thursday, so I can only imagine what's gonna happen. Draft night is tonight. But big trade. I feel like we've been waiting for the Giannis trade for like 2 years now, and it finally got done. I think a lot of people were just expecting it to be done with the Celtics, but the Heat came through and they gave him a big package. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, so I'll break it down. Giannis, Gets traded with Bobby Portis to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, I don't know the other dude, and then 3 first-round picks and a pick swap and a second rounder. So that's a pretty big package for Giannis, someone who obviously brought the Bucks a championship, former MVP, really good player, but also hasn't been to the conference finals in the last 5 years, been injured towards the end of the season a lot. So I don't know how I feel about it. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, if I'm the Celtics, I don't know why they were looking at this trade. I think you got to keep JB and JT together. Like Giannis, I was saying this, and I'll make this quick point. Giannis missed 36 games last year. Weird season for the Bucks, obviously, but he hasn't been the most injury. He hasn't been the most healthy. He hasn't been the healthiest player in the league the last couple of years. He's on the other side of 31. Not saying, or on the other side of 30. Not saying he's not going to be a great player in Miami, but these are all things that you got to think about when it comes to the Giannis trade. I don't know how good Miami's going to be. They need some more shooting, but it's an interesting duo for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I seen potential Heat lineup. I wasn't the biggest fan, but they'll be interesting, bro. It's like Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam, and Giannis. Like that's an athletic. They're gonna really be a gritty team. It's gonna be really hard to score on them. So they're gonna be a top 4 seed in the East. And when you get Giannis, the expectation has to be championship, or it's not. I don't want to say it's a failure, but along those lines. So it would be interesting. The NBA is going to be this probably be old news by the time Thursday comes around. There's going to be way more trades and a lot of picks. Who you got going number 1 tonight?
I got the Besa.
Yeah,
Going number 1.
I feel like NBA teams hardly ever like go against the grain. AJ's the favorite, and I think he'll get picked number 1. So I got AJ, DP, Cam, and then Caleb. That's your 4?
Yep.
All right. But that's going to do it for another episode of Not Even D2. We appreciate you listening week to week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow us at Not Even D2 and stay with us. Next week, we got another great coach coming on.